Hello, friend.
It's very common for us to think that we need something outside of us to happen in order for us to be happy or to get what we want in life. It's easy to think that I will be happy or I will be able to do something when I finish school, when the right job opens up, when I get the promotion, when I earn enough money, when I move, whatever it is. And definitely, I encourage you, if there are certain things you want in your life, to go after them and make those things happen. But I'm talking about waiting for things to happen that are outside of us and outside of our control, and relying on those to live the lives that we want and to be happy. This is not what we need in order to be happy, to have what we want in our lives. And it's actually waiting for external factors is a really bad strategy to get what we want and to live the lives we want. And why is that? It's because it doesn't make any sense to put your efforts into things or to wait for things or to rely on things that are outside of your control. And I think anyone can agree with that. Welcome to Philosol. My name is Ollie. So if we know that we should focus on what is and isn't within our control, we should take a look at what those things are. You cannot change people, and I'm sure you've heard that before. You cannot ultimately make anyone do something directly. You can encourage them and persuade them and incentivize them. You can force them. Don't do that. That's wrong. But ultimately, you cannot truly make someone do something directly. You can only do that with yourself. The only thing you truly have direct, free control over is your own actions, your own thoughts, your own habits, mindset. And it doesn't matter if they're wrong. It doesn't matter if they're only hurting themselves. You can't really make them change. And in truth, changing your own action, taking action by yourself, changing your mindset, the way you look at things, your attitude, is way easier and more reliable and effective than trying to change someone else when they're resistant to it, if they're not really in that same space that you're thinking in. So, and it might be more scary, it might be more intimidating and less comfortable, but it works better, and we all need to be able to take control of our own lives and not really wait until people or things around us decide to behave in the way we want them to. We need to be able to act and make things happen with whatever we can, regardless of what external factors want to do. And even if we're not just talking about people's actions, maybe we're just talking about random effects, circumstances in life, whatever we find ourselves in, it's common for us to want to wait until these things change before we then decide to take action or before we decide to feel happy about where we're at. But that is relying on an external factor that is outside of your control. And sometimes these things aren't entirely out of your control and you can influence them, you have a say and you can do things. But even when they are resistant to that, you are not serving yourself by letting that stop you. It doesn't make any sense to put control of your own life into the hands of someone or something outside of you. But enough abstract talk, let's get a real example, and the easiest example would be this channel, Philosol. So there were very many reasons for me to not start this channel, Philosol. I had no connections outside of my immediate family, so I would have to build an audience from scratch. I didn't have a bunch of friends who could pass this around, or, I didn't know anybody who already had some sort of following, nothing like that. I had no experience working on a weekly project where I have to deliver something on a weekly basis. I was actually really bad at that sort of thing for a long time, and I've gotten a lot better with Philosol. Video content, being on camera, writing about self-development, philosophy, my own mental health, things like that. I don't even have a camera to use other than my phone, which I'm still using today. That's why the quality isn't always that good. I don't even have a lot of space. I'm doing this just in my living room. And that's why you'll hear in the background other people doing dishes or my dog pitter-pattering around the floor. There's a box, I don't have the best presentation. I don't have the best means of having a very clean presentation. And not to mention, when I started Philosol, just over 6 months ago, I was still healing from a lot of traumatic things that happened to me in my life over the past few years, and on top of that, I had a part-time job, so just making the time at all was kind of difficult. There were lots of reasons for me to wait for external things to change before I started Philosol. And, I wait until we move into a bigger house, until I have more space, more free time, more money, until I'm more healthy, I have a nice camera, whatever. There are a lot of things, these individual moving parts in my life that could have made a difference, and actually I could have been making technically better content in terms of presentation or whatever if these things were in my life already. But if I did wait for those things, I still wouldn't have started Philosol even this day, 6 months later. More than 6 months later, I would be at square one. I wouldn't have had all this experience. I wouldn't have been able to offer these videos at this point in time. You know, I could have bought a nice camera by now. I probably have the money for that. I probably could, but I still don't have any better space to do this. You know, I'm healthier mentally, but that's because of Philosol, because I've been focusing on these lessons so much and sharing them. I actually have less time on my hands now. I'm making about the same amount of money. And the funny thing is, I do have more experience now. Because I've been doing Philosol, right? Because I decided to not wait. I have more experience making video content, writing about these things. I haven't missed a week so far in videos. Putting myself on camera and talking about this stuff from the heart with just a loose script of bullet points that I wrote down, that is great experience for me to do this thing, right? It's a new project. It's a new experience for me. I don't need experience in order to work on a new experience. This is the experience that I need. And it's so funny because when you want to start this new thing, Philosol for me, 6 months ago, it's like, oh, well, I don't have experience. That seems like such a valid thing to say, but you don't need experience. It is the experience. In hindsight, that wouldn't have helped me at all. So while my videos are definitely still rough around the edges and zero budget, I have helped my own mental health immensely, and I've helped others. I've actually gotten a few messages in the past few months. Every once in a while, somebody would be like, hey, I really appreciate what you're doing. You're doing good stuff. Please keep it up. You helped me. And that's just like, it's the best thing. And I'm really, really grateful for that. And I want to keep helping people. You know, at this time, I wouldn't have had that if I waited, right? I've gotten all this experience. I've grown so much. And, you know, it's not like I'm making money from this channel. I'm not exactly a YouTube star. I only have 28 subscribers at the time of making this channel. I was actually at 29 the other day. I don't know what happened. Please come back. But I don't know who you are, but I guess I made you, I don't know, scared you off. But anyway, you know, 28 is a small number, you know, compared to many other YouTube channels. 1,000 is considered to be a very small number, right? So I'm not exactly, you know, a YouTube star, but where would I be if I decided to wait when I started Philosol? If I decided to wait another few months, whatever, I would have to do this all over again, right? 6 months from now, maybe I'll have 50 subscribers, right? Maybe Philosol will be a little bit bigger. But if I started Philosol now, by then I would have only had maybe those 28, 29 subscribers, right? The fact that I went for it and took control of my actions, my life, and decided to not let these things stop me, decided to not wait for all these things to just kind of come into my life and just go for it even when I didn't have these things that really could have made a difference, means that I was able to make this progress and achieve these things I wanted to achieve despite all that. Another great example, which is a bit more sensitive, is my own mental health. If you've seen some other Philosol videos, you may have seen some of the other things that I've been through in my life. The loss of several loved ones. I've been betrayed by people that I trusted and that I loved. You know, lost friends, a whole lifetime of self-image and self-confidence issues. You know, my dad did a lot of things that were unhealthy and not right. And, you know, I've dealt with tragedy and loss and depression a lot in the past few years. And it really took its toll on me. I didn't always handle it as well as I could have or should have. It really affected me harshly. And I promise you that I didn't get out of that by just waiting. Okay, and yes, you know, I have to wait and eventually I'll heal and become better, but that's only because I decided initially to take action of my thoughts, my beliefs, how I think, how I view myself, and coping. I had to be proactive. You know, if I didn't do that and I let myself stay in the depression, the anxiety, and keep thinking the same toxic thoughts that came about because of all these bad things that happened, I wouldn't be as good as I am today in terms of how happy I am, how productive I am, how healthy I am. I had to take control. I had to be proactive about what I think, how I think, what I believe. I had to watch the Ed Mylett videos. I had to be grateful for what I had even after I lost so much. I had to take it upon myself and be responsible for finding hope even when hope was hiding really, really well. But I looked for it and I found it. And I promise you can do that too. I'm not doing better right now because my situation got so much better. I didn't win the lottery. I didn't get this awesome high-paying job. My loved ones didn't come back from the dead. I didn't find my soulmate. I didn't, it's not like this magic stuff just happened. My situation is really about the same. My dad is still gone. My pets are still gone. These things still happened to me. And it's not like these magical, wonderful events came into my life and made me happier. I'm doing better now because I decided to do better. And it was a process. Believe me, it's really tempting to just think, if only this didn't happen, if only this did happen, if only this thing was better. But that's not going to help me, is it? That's not going to serve me, is it? I'm not doing myself any favors by thinking that way. It's actually a really defeatist mindset, because then I'm giving control to other things, other people, other circumstances. I'm taking power away from myself. If I believe I don't have this power, then I don't have this power, right? By saying that, oh, well, this thing needs to happen first, I'm saying that I'm powerless in this situation. I'm not empowering myself. I'm not helping myself. I'm saying, oh, well, I'm done. I lost. My only hope is if this thing happens, this thing saves me. Rather than saying, what can I do? What steps can I take to make this situation better? Even if it seems really bleak, and believe me, I know what bleak looks like. And even in really desperate situations, and these things I personally do not have knowledge of, like homelessness and starvation and things like that. I'm very blessed that I've never had to experience those things. I've gone through my own stuff, but not quite that. But even in really desperate situations, I'm not going to help you by saying you're powerless in that situation. That would be really irresponsible of me. It wouldn't be loving of me. We all have to believe that there's always something we can do to make our situation better. Because it's true, and if we believe it, it can happen, right? We can always do something to take that one step to make our situation a little bit better than it was before, to bring us a little bit closer to where we want to be, the lives we want to have. And that's something, whatever that is, that we can do. It may not be what we want. It may not be when we want, how we want. But if we look at the positive possibilities that are all around us, because this world is huge, okay? It's like what Wayne Dyer says, nobody knows enough to be a pessimist, right? There's just too much that can happen. If we keep looking at the positive possibilities, we can eventually make these possibilities happen, right? These things of like, oh, well, I'm never going to get out of this situation. This dream I have is never going to happen. You know what? Maybe right now you're right. And if you have that belief, then you're definitely right. But maybe you're right. It really can't happen right now. But you can take a step closer to it. You can improve your situation. And before you know it, there is a possibility. That possibility is there now. Maybe it's because you just didn't see it, or maybe it's because it really wasn't there. But we can make these possibilities show themselves if we keep believing that they're there, accepting the possibility that there are possibilities, and taking those steps in our lives to become closer to where we want to be. As you can see, this is an entire mindset shift. It's a lifestyle shift. It's not just one exercise you can do. It's not one action you can do. It's not a book I'm selling. It's a way to view, it's a worldview. It's a lifestyle. And I strongly believe that our world, our culture, our society would be a lot better if we all decided to take responsibility for our own actions, our own lives, and not just wait for things to change. Because then we can all make good things happen. And we have hope, we have optimism, and we have good things beginning to pop up because we're taking those steps. We're not doing ourselves any favors by thinking that we're exempt from the possibility of living our dream lives, right? We see these rich people, and some people, maybe they were really poor and they won the lottery, whatever. These stories, and we think, well, it's not going to happen to me. Who says? You! It's you! Maybe some other people whose opinions don't matter, right? We're only going to help ourselves by taking responsibility, and we might be in situations that weren't our responsibility, that weren't our fault, just unfair things that happened to us. But what's going to help us more? Is it going to help us to sit back and allow these things to defeat us and crush our dreams and our hopes? Or is it going to help us more to keep going, to figure out what we can do to not only make it to the next day, but to grow where we're at, to improve our situation to be even better? And even if it's only small steps, and if you can make big steps, more power to you. If you can find that, that's great, do it. But even if we can only make small steps, eventually our situation, those small steps stack up. Our situation will be so much better than before, and new possibilities will arise. That's how that works. Personally, I don't have much money, I don't have a career, I don't really have skills, and many people would think that the odds are stacked against me for me to be a billionaire, for me to write a bunch of books and make a big difference in the world and own multiple homes and all these things I would love to do in my life, right? But I know that I can always take steps to get closer to that. Even if I got hit by a bus tomorrow, okay, and I never achieved this stuff, my life is still better now than it was a year ago because I've been living this way. And I've faltered, sure, but overall, my life is improved when I live this way. I know I can always take these steps. I've seen the improvement in my situation. I've seen the personal improvement in myself. These are changes that I once thought to be impossible. This video piggybacks off of last week's video, Align Yourself with Your Ideal Self, and I wanted to talk about this topic in that video, but it was already getting too long. But the point is, even if we don't see these possibilities in our lives, even if it seems hopeless and bleak, by taking action, we can at least transform ourselves into new, more capable people, and then we make these possibilities happen, even if they were impossible before. And hopefully I was able to show you how relying on external factors for your own life is just inherently faulty logic. I had to learn for myself that I'm not going to do myself any favors that way. I help myself by deciding that I can do things and looking at what I can do and taking those steps. I really hope this video has helped you see in your life where you can improve your situation wherever you feel that needs to happen, and I hope I was able to give you some hope for that. Really, the best of luck to you. Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to hear your advice from your experiences in the comments. We're all growing together, and it's very appreciated. You can click subscribe and then the bell icon to be notified every time I post a video. I post every Friday. Feel free to share Philisol with anyone you think will find it helpful. I want to help as many people as I can. Check out the channel page for lots more videos and other channels that I really enjoy. Until next time, much love.